What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis. Pure Options was born right here in the 517, expanded obviously, but on 517 Day, there is no better way to celebrate than with Pure Options and the quality cannabis that they provide and help us enjoy life. Go to pureoptions.com for the location nearest you. Even if you're not in the 517 in the Lansing area, there's a chance you're pretty close to a Pure Options. Swing on by and let them know Couch in the Roof sent you. If you spend $50 or more, you get a complimentary eighth of ProGrow, a terrific in-house brand. And our Friday afternoon show presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app, bet the games this weekend. A lot of really good stuff that we will dig into momentarily. Jason, how you doing, brother?
I'm not a crook.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing? A lot of
Shout
stuff
out
going
to
on.
Scottie Scheffler today to join the Mugshot Club.
It's pretty impressive.
Very.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with my headset here.
Yeah.
Can't hear anything.
Can
you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. We're good to fire off. We're having as good a start as Scottie Scheffler did to his day, and you know.
That was amazing to wake up to, though. I have to admit, though, watching him being perp walked to like a vehicle at 7 a.m. with one eye open. I'm like, what? Scottie Scheffler? What? Arrested? What could have happened?
I can't figure out if he was being a little bit of a dick or if it was a gross misunderstanding.
Or it was a cop having a bad day because there was a crazy accident at 6 in the morning.
Right, which somebody died.
Black. Yeah.
Yep. And so no, there's a lot of things it could be.
But really, it has to be one of two things, right? It's either he didn't do anything or it was like, hey, don't you know who I am?
Or it's the third thing. And this is the Paul Bart Mall Cop syndrome, right? This is like you don't think it's a real cop. You're just like, this power-hungry security guy is like trying to give me some grief, and I'm going to ignore him.
The cop was wearing a uniform, though. I don't know many rent-a-cops that wear, unless there's some stolen valor thing.
Dark, it's early. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see when it all comes out, and my money's on Scheffler now to win the whole damn thing.
They made him put on an orange jumpsuit. I thought it was fake, the mugshot, right?
Yeah.
It's not fake, right? It's not AI or something like that.
I don't think so.
Because it was like misdemeanors, and I'm like, what? Then I found out he dragged a police officer. I'm like, what is going on here?
And did he realize he was dragging him? Because he eventually opened the door.
Don't you know who I am? It says courtesy car on the side. Is it possible the cop was just like, I've had enough of these country club MFs?
No, it sounds like they did not
already
know that he was a golfer, nor that he was the number one golfer in the world.
And Jeff Darlington, he's right behind Scottie Scheffler, and he's on ESPN all disheveled and without makeup on. It was just a wild scene this morning.
It was.
I never would have expected Scottie Scheffler.
No, it was, well, the PGA, look, the PGA needs a little something when it's the fourth major. And this year,
That'll
I guess,
do
is it. Yeah, this is it. R.I.P. to the guy who died, obviously, and that sucks. And we don't mean to make light of it.
Real sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of you wish it didn't, involve a fatality because you feel like you're making light of somebody's day who was a hell of a lot worse, But
what, we can't talk about it?
no, we have to talk about it. People die all the time.
Have a full memorial for the person that passed away.
No,
It's
it's
Scheffler.
no, it's we have what I think is going to be a really good show, Groovy Donut Twitter question show. Some great stuff coming up, so we'll get into all of that as we do at the beginning of every end of week show. What we are betting, presented by Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Is there anything you are betting this weekend, Jason?
Well, all my bets are placed for the PGA Championship. Of course, I saw Spieth yesterday go 3 under quickly, so I had to set $15 on fire real quick. So the PGA bets are kind of done unless I get a feeling going into Sunday and there's some value there. But the NBA playoffs, Graham, the single game parlays, the books have made it really hard to find any value whatsoever on the prop market, but you can, and it's still kind of fun because that's the only way I can watch the NBA playoffs if I sprinkle a little bit on it. So definitely Knicks Pacers tonight and over the weekend, Thunder Mavs. So I'll be sprinkling on some single game parlays.
I'm with you on the NBA. I found where I think I have found value, and I could be wrong on this, on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, is futures with the Mavericks, Timberwolves, and Nuggets. All right? So what's amazing is Boston is like minus 140 to win the title right now. And I understand they're going to get to the final. But I don't think Boston is they're probably better than Dallas. I don't think they're necessarily better than Minnesota or certainly Denver. And Denver you can get at plus 300 right now, and Minnesota at like plus, what is it, plus 850, and Dallas at plus 700. Like, so to me, there's value there, and what you like, and you can even sprinkle. I sprinkled on all three. I put, and obviously you're hedging a little bit when you do that, but I put a little bit of money on Minnesota and Dallas because I think both of them have a pretty good chance of getting out of that series. They could be playing each other, and then one of them's in the final against a Boston team that I don't know that's any better than them. So I think there's good value there. Earlier in the week, I gave out for my Premier League favorite play, Brighton again at home against Manchester United. I still like it. The results in the middle of the week maybe like it a little less, but Manchester United has nothing to play. Brighton will be home. They'll play hard. They have struggled offensively. But I have a new favorite bet, by far favorite bet. Crystal Palace on the money line. It's up to minus 120. There's still value there. If you can get it at minus 115, great. Crystal Palace at home, finishing the season against Aston Villa, which just clinched a a Champions League position next year already, and they're done playing consequential games. They're clearly, I think, recently running on steam, running on fumes a little bit. They had their team banquet, I hear, Wednesday night with a lot of booze flowing. They might not be playing some of their starters. They're going to a Crystal Palace team that is, while I think technically might still even be able to play for a top half spot, but also is just rolling. And they're at home, one final game. They, even though they don't have a lot on the line, they are just playing well, and they want to play well. They're the hottest team in the Premier League right now, you could argue. I love them on the money line at home against an Aston Villa team with nothing at stake, that's running on fumes, that may not be playing all their starters. Give me Crystal Palace on the money line there. I love it big.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Will you answer honestly?
Mm-hmm.
Do you put Harry up to texting me about soccer?
No, I don't. No.
Yesterday, I'm sitting there. I'm trying to talk to him about, Arizona. The Lions are playing at Arizona. Can we stay at your place September 22nd? He was like, let's fucking go. Absolutely. By the way, I really like Graham's Brighton pick.
Yeah.
I like it so much it's my Sharp Tank pick.
Yeah.
I told him I'm stealing his pick. I'm like, can't you just tell him that? Harry, I love you.
And then he told me that, and I
put us in a group chat, and then tell him.
I tried to talk him down a little bit and give him this Crystal Palace play, so I'm not sure which way he went.
I'm like, if this is a bit, it's good because it drives me nuts. I'm like, why is he telling me about Graham? I know, all right, I guess. Just use the bet, Harry.
Sunday morning, Crystal Palace.
Oh, there's more.
Sorry, that's my play. Sorry, Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Yeah, no, Harry's great, and I love that Harry thinks you care about my soccer picks.
Well, I'm happy. If you win, okay, that's great. Oh man, by the way, let's put Arizona Lions on it to the side real quick. Let's talk about Graham's bet.
Before we dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions, by the way, I am Elizabeth and I are helping out with Groovy Donuts tonight at the Lugnuts game, part of 517 Day, and there's an event at the Capitol tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to be there helping them out.
Oh, you going to be there tomorrow helping them out? Okay.
Jason and I, yeah.
Elizabeth is going to be there as well. So are you doing the afternoon then, I'm guessing, or the morning? What do you
I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know what our I believe it's in the afternoon.
Let's talk logistics here. I don't know if I can do tomorrow morning. I got a column I need to finish, but I am
great friends. You are.
Yeah, it's great. No, it's fun. Take part to be Groovy Donut. The real long play here is I think I'm going to get some free donuts out of this. So,
well, yeah,
I'm pretty excited. And Elizabeth's just excited because she likes like customer service type. I enjoy this stuff too, but she really likes food service.
She enjoys the customer service type stuff.
She worked at Dairy Queen, and she worked at Ruby Tuesdays, and she worked at the Parlor in East Lansing, the ice cream shop. Okay. Like when she loved those kind of jobs coming up. And
really, she loved the people. See, that's why I can understand maybe enjoying it, but man, the people kind of ruin.
Well, it's amazing because she does not like people, but
with her,
she seems to like this sort of work. Her dream was to, in retirement, open up a ice cream place called like the Daily Scoop. But apparently, there's a place in Mason called the Daily Scoop that beat her to it that she's not real happy about.
Got to change the name.
Yeah, we'll have to work
It's
on
weird
that.
to despise people, but yet like customer service jobs.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
Like I don't despise. I look forward to customer service in retirement. I'm going to be a greeter.
Like we had fun at Jimmy John's, but back in the day, I mean, people are still ass though. I mean, I've met some great friends throughout that gig, but man, customer service is brutal.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Some days I wish that's all I did. You know.
Yeah, but you're used to getting hammered like on Twitter. Like everything just flies over you now. You don't even care. Someone comes up to you like, "Hey, man, you been eating the donuts?"
You fat
Something
fuck.
like that. Yeah, I wasn't gonna be mean.
Yeah.
There's no way anybody's mean like that.
Yeah. What? Not anymore. One of the first times
You've had too many donuts, mate.
I went to an MSU football game in 2013, first year, early second year, covering the team. And this is before, 2012 was a bit of a difficult year. Second year, before the Rose Bowl, nobody knows it's going to go that well. So I think it's the opener, actually. And I'm walking in with Elizabeth, who was meeting her dad at the game. And we park in the donor lot where the media parks and a lot of tailgaters. And I'd been pretty hard on MSU the first year, and people didn't really know who I was all that much other than the guy who said Alex Carter was better than Kirk Cousins. That's all I was known for, really. But I'd been pretty hard on MSU, and we get out of the car, and somebody says, "Hey, Couch, fuck you, man," right away. And my wife, this is one of the, we were just dating at the time. This is one of the main reasons I knew she was into me. She was about to throw down. It was incredible. And I was like, we can't respond that way. I just waved, said, thank you. And we got to go. She was ready to, it was great. It was great.
Sweet.
That was a story worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. If you are looking for a place to celebrate the 517 weekend, again, Midtown Brewing Company, an awesome place to do so. Great beers on tap, a terrific menu. Right in downtown Lansing on Washington Avenue. All right, you ready to dig into these Groovy Donuts Twitter questions?
Yeah, man. Eric Schultz up first. Should Alan Haller care more about Stallions on CMU's sideline? Michigan does these things because they're entitled. In their mind, they're big brother, and rules don't apply to them. If we let them off the hook, doesn't it reinforce that narrative?
So I'll let you in on a little something. I sat down with Alan Haller for about 90 minutes yesterday. On Thursday for a column that is running on Sunday. And I asked him about Connor Stallions. And some of the stuff was off the record, but I will let you in on this. He is not, it is not something he ignored. It is something that bothered him. And CMU's reaction to it definitely bothered him. And the quote I have from him, which will be in the column, is something along the lines of, he understands it's an NCAA investigation now and all that, but he's looking forward to seeing what comes out of it, and it could impact their relationship going forward. So it is not. This is not something he took lightly. Let me just say that. So I think that should. It was very much a real thing to him. I underestimated that. It was, as it is to many of our listeners here. So that'll be mentioned in the column. It was a sit down. We went over we talked about NIL, where things are headed. Talked a lot about what he endured the last fall, and how difficult that was, and certain things for him. And it was a good conversation, and hopefully I won't screw it up as a column this Sunday. So if that helps.
We don't have enough time for all of that.
Eric Schultz up next. A bathroom etiquette question. You got to pee, and the bathroom's got 2 urinals side by side and 1 stall. There's one person currently in the bathroom. He's at a urinal. Do you use the other urinal or the stall? Does it matter if there is or isn't a partition between urinals? God, man, if you have to do that much thinking going in, you don't have to pee that bad.
Well, no, the instinct. So, okay.
If you want to check out my mule, go ahead, dude. I don't need a partition. If I got to pee, and you like troughs, so you don't care.
Correct. So I'm going to come at this from a different angle. But the question is, if there's an open stall, do you take the stall or do you use the second urinal?
No.
You use the urinal?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Because I don't want to touch especially
Correct.
if you have to put your hands on the flush thing. And
There's so much more the waiting around you, around in that bend when you turn into a stall. You never know what's going to be there. You might see something disgusting that ruins your day, ruins your lunch. You just don't need that. Don't need that sort of stress. To me, you just be a grown-up. You hope there's a partition. And
what's being a grown-up about? Just having to pee next to somebody like you?
Right.
You think you have to go to the stall?
When you were peeing next to somebody, do you ever talk to them, or do you just stare straight ahead?
I stare straight ahead. I mean, if someone talks to me, I will say something, but I don't look over or anything like that. Yeah.
Because
usually it's like a Lions game or something. Everybody's talking shit or something like that, but I don't go in there trying to talk to people.
Yeah, it really depends on my mood and my vibe and where I'm at. Like, I don't do it at a...
What's your vibe when you walk into a bathroom?
What I mean is if I stop at like a rest area I'm never in the mood to like talk. I'm never going to talk to some random stranger in a rest area. But
then you should never do it then. If you're not in the mood then just stop talking. Don't even look at me.
Okay.
What's wrong with you?
All right.
No. Kurt Wisniewski, how did Scott Harris not see the need for hitting in this Tigers lineup? If you were the Tigers GM, what moves would be made?
So, to me, I understand this is an evaluation year, and we had Cody Stavenhagen from The Athletic on Tuesday and talked about this.
Chris Ilitch. That's Stavenhagen.
Yeah, but I do not think you can waste time, and I don't think you can waste pitching staffs that are this good. And it's not even as much about winning this year as proving that you're understanding this is an issue that you want. Like I don't think they should make a trade for a short-term rental this year. I don't think that's a smart move. It's not like this is the year, so you get somebody who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year and give up a prospect.
You're beyond a short-term rental. Well, you can't hit worth a shit.
But what I mean is, a short-term you could get somebody who's a free agent at the end of the year, and they could help your lineup. You don't want that, though. What you are looking to do is improve your franchise going forward, and I think you need to look at ways to do that in the season and make a trade. And you don't want to be hasty with it because you want to get somebody who's got multiple years left on a contract, and I think, or at least another year beyond this, somebody who helps you a year from now. But yeah, you can't waste his staff, right? You can't.
Back-to-back games against the Marlins, you can't score one run. I mean, it's just that's the frustrating part, Graham. And these guys are pitching their asses off, and it's just a colossal waste of time. And like you say, Tommy John surgery is going to creep up, and then a couple of these guys, and then they're going to be gone for 3 years or whatever happens.
Next year, the staff's going to be hurt as hell. You're going to have to be a great lineup. Yeah, no, you got to take advantage when you're blessed with. And bullpens are often a crapshoot. You can think you put together a great one, and a guy doesn't have a good year. Yeah. You have to take advantage of this to some degree, and at least show that you understand this isn't cutting it. And like, what else how long do you need to evaluate this lineup to realize that ain't enough? And to me, again, I'm not saying if you don't make a trade tomorrow, it's like, what the hell? But you ought to be openly seeking one over the next month. You don't need to wait till the trade deadline. You need to make a move here, and you need to add somebody who gives some pop to that lineup.
And you're playing with fire if you're the Tigers as well, because you're playing terrible and you're not on TV for a majority of your fan base. So when you do come back on whatever Bally's or whatever channel, people are going to go, yeah, I don't give a shit.
This year, while people understand that the team has turned a corner and they're better, will piss people off more than other seasons if they end the year this way. If they end the year, 4 games under 500. Which it should feel like an improvement. But if they wind up like, 79 and 83, so they miss the win total by half game too, that'll piss people off, including me, the over-under gambling line. But if they say they're 79 and 83 and all year long they're losing these 2-0 games, people are going to be so frustrated and so not trusting of the direction of the organization. And I understand.
I think that's already happening, though.
Right. And yeah, if you want to show, I think you got to look to make a move. That's easier said than done. Like, who's willing to give up right now this early in the season a good bat? But there are teams that have given up, and you do have some prospects. And at some point, you clearly have enough pitching right now. Use somebody in the minors, or use one of your big leaguers to improve your lineup.
And I get AJ Hinch has to come out and say, Javi Baez is our guy. He's still, waiting for him to turn the corner. I get all that shit. He's got to say that. But when do you just want to go, enough is enough with this guy?
Yeah.
It just blows my mind that you can watch your team and watch a guy like Javi Baez get paid all that money. Just annoys me.
I tell you what, at the end of the year, we're going to have to look at how many, Pure Options has that deal with Tigers games where if they score 7 or more runs the next day with the code Tigers, you get with $40 or more spent, a free 8th of program.
What do they care? I have to buy an ounce just to get through the game. So they make out on that as well on me. So
I want to see how many times. I don't think they meant to not have to use this promotion at all when they came up with it. They probably thought.
I think they went kind of heavy with 7. You know what I mean? I was like, man, that's pretty. Now it's pretty genius.
Yeah. Looks amazing.
Yeah. T-Bone's dad next. Any initial thoughts on the NFL schedule release, particularly for the Lions? I'm just happy they're not playing on Christmas Day. And also wish we weren't playing San Francisco so late in the season, but it should be a great rematch. I got to say, man, I tried listening to 97.1 with the schedule release. I just breaking down the schedule. The only reason I like the schedule release is because now Michigan fan Jordan and I are going to a road game once a year now. But we just started that last year. So before last year, it really doesn't really do much for me. I think it's interesting back-to-back with the teams we played in the playoffs, though, at home.
Yeah.
That's intriguing. Will we boo Matt Stafford? I hope we still do. Kelly, don't bring the kids this time, though.
I think it's a there's a part of the schedule. I think it's a pretty tough schedule, to be honest. I mean, you can look at that from a ways out, and you don't know what teams are going to be. The Rams.
But let's speculate.
Yeah. The Rams opener, that's fun. Whatever. Sunday night football, like it. Buccaneers, they ought to win that.
Win.
But the Cardinals are one of those teams
that
I think will collapse late in the year, but are going to be sneaky decent. And that's on the road. I can just see the Lions blowing that.
Let's go to the phones.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
All right, Tyler, next. Bring out the Lions schedule, and let's get a record prediction.
All right.
If Graham can't see the tea leaves, Jason, do it for us.
All right, well, we'll go through it real fast. Here we go. Rams, we're saying W at home. Rams W, right?
Sure.
Okay. Buccaneers at home, W, 2-0. At Cardinals, 3-0. Seahawks at home, 4-0. At Cowboys, they're going to be weaker this year, 5-0. At Vikings, I don't love the Vikings this year, 6-0. Titans are going to suck. Will Levis, not good, 8-0. At Packers will be a loss. So 8-1. At Texans, that's a loss. 8-2, people will be panicking. Jaguars at home, they're going to find a way to win that, 9-2. At Colts, they win, 10-2. Bears at home, 11-2. Packers at home, win that, 12-2. Bills at home, win that, 13-2. At Bears, 14-2. 49ers on the road, 14-3. I've got 18 games here. I don't know what I did wrong. So I've got them going 15-3.
I was hanging on the edge of my seat, though.
Yeah. Shit.
Fascinating.
It's amazing. 15-3.
Okay. Tyler, at 250 runs allowed, the Marlins are the worst in Major League Baseball by 23 runs. Guess who put up a goose egg in 2 straight games against the Marlins?
It's incredible. I mean, that was just...
By epic proportions. It's really saddening. I really wish I had Xfinity cable.
So you could watch this?
No, so they could block me.
Oh, so you block. That's what you're saying. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I had an excuse not to watch this shit.
Yeah, it's not
pathetic.
Good. It's not good.
T-Bone's dad, July question. What's something you'll listen to while driving by yourself? You're at a minimum slightly embarrassed to admit. I'll go first, even though my family doesn't listen to it anymore. I'll still blast the Greatest Showman soundtrack sporadically. So dorky, but I'll own it.
What about you? What do you got? Anything that you like?
That I'm embarrassed about? I'm not really. I would just admit it, so I'm not really embarrassed. I don't know. There was an Imagine Dragon song that I liked. This was years ago, and I made the mistake of telling my wife. So whenever the song would come on, or if we were in a ballpark and that fucking song came on, she would slap me on the side like, "That's your song." And I was like, "Fuck." So maybe that was the embarrassing. I don't know. I was slightly embarrassed by that.
I mean, people know I like show tunes, so that's not going to be embarrassing, right? I mean,
what could Graham be embarrassed about?
Well, I'll give you
Girls 5 Eva. No,
I'll give you a really guilty pleasure deep track. Right? This is old school country that when it comes on, I never turn it off, and it's not a great song. Ronnie Millsap, Smoky Mountain Rain. I'm telling you right now, that is to me. It's not. I mean, it's classic 80s, 70s country.
Classic like this song.
To LA, well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we step.
My favorite part is when he taps his chest. The heart part, the best.
Come on.
All right, Andrew Zuiza and TK. Well, how do we pronounce this guy's name? Is it not Seisman?
No, when I looked at it, what did I do? I put the letters backwards. So it's Simon, like Simon, Zyman.
Zappy.
Zyman, Zappella. Right. Yeah.
Zyman Zappella, an upgrade from Madi Sissoko. Andrew says the answer is no, and Tom is trying to dupe us. TK says, I know he's taller, but I feel like Madi could put up similar stats at Longwood.
I mean, he's different. I think he's an upgrade in this area. Where I could not stand watching Madi Sissoko play basketball was not the drop passes and the rebounds that he knocked out of opponents' hands. I mean, probably every teammate probably had 1 rebound less a game. But it wasn't those things weren't helpful, even though he's a decent athlete to some degree and a strong, he's got strength to him. But it was his lack of feel for the game and how that transferred to his teammates, because they would look around, they would look at him and not know if he saw the same thing. So there was no instinctual, they didn't play off each other. It had to be what the play call was. That was my problem. And I think this kid, Zappala, obviously a European, every highlight I've seen looks like he has more feel. And he's a different kind of player, better hands, better scorer on the rim. So your frustrations with him, however much he plays, will be different than they were with Sissoko. And I think different frustrations are healthy at this point.
Don't coach my team.
And so I think that I think he is an upgrade, and he's also taller. Sissoko's biggest issue was Mady Sissoko works. I mean, what's his name at Rutgers is basically Mady Sissoko, but he's just 3 inches taller. And he just got a huge NIL deal, and he's been valuable. If Mady Sissoko was 6'11" instead of 6'8", that would have Cliff or Morier is what I meant to say. Mady Sissoko would be a valuable player. At 6'8", he's just not big enough at the high major level with his skill set.
TK next is the United Wholesale Mortgage lawsuit, the reason we didn't pick up a better center. Ishbia needs to pay those lawyers somehow, and it's going to cost Izzo a second natty.
I haven't heard that there's any direct impact. Here's the thing to know about Izzo and his relationship with the billionaires, St. Andre and Greg Williams and Ishbia. They all want to be in the Tom Izzo business. And so if Izzo is, and this is the danger with the post-Izzo world, is I don't know that they'll want to be in the business of the next coach or feel the same way, but they want to be in the Tom Izzo business. And so they're going to support his program with what's needed. If Tom Izzo had said, I want to spend $1.5 million to get this guy in-house, this center, I think they would have found the money to do it.
And we said, would somebody please guard somebody?
All right, JD, next you buy the take that a quality portal center wouldn't raise MSU ceiling more than a couple seed lines. More so, wouldn't a couple seed line increase help with that deep tourney run he wants so badly?
Yes. And see, this is where, I'm curious to see what Zappala gives them. I'm also, I think more in on the big guys than some other people are. And I'm also not as offended as people by the idea that they won't win a title. So I feel different about it emotionally than maybe some do. But like last year, for example, they weren't going to win a national title. But if they don't screw up a couple home games, or if they had a big man, it would be a whole different year. But if they don't screw up a couple home games, they're not playing North Carolina in the second round. They're not facing Armando Bacot right away. And that makes a difference. It helps you make a run. And so this, to me, is raising your ceiling, even if it is only a couple seeds. And by the way, if you put a really dominant big man in any lineup, that can raise your ceiling a lot more than a couple seeds. If you put a really solid big man in a lineup last year, I think it would have raised it 5 or 6 seeds. Like it would have made the whole difference, I think, for that team largely. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the A.J. Hogarth thing was too much to overcome his inconsistency. This year, I've told you what I would have done. I would have tried to find somebody a little bit split in the difference, somebody who's a rugged rebounder and could play the 4 or 5. And maybe this kid will be able to do some of this, but wouldn't automatically threaten Jackson Kohler and Carson Cooper to the point that they're like, that's it, I'm out of here, they're clearly replacing me. But somebody who would be genuine competition for them, somebody who really raised your floor because he was better than those two were a year ago at certain things. And I don't think you're doing that with Zyman Zappala. I just don't.
JD next. Will Izzo's another tourney run or die trying become the new Pride Becomes Before the Fall, in which what was once a rallying call turns into a mocked and ridiculed saying?
I do wonder if it's going to be the saying he one day regrets, but if he's either got to do one of two things, he's got to make a tourney run or he's got to actually die trying, because then everybody will be like, well, he did predict this.
That is true.
Like if it happens, he didn't say he was going to make another tourney run. He said, otherwise, I'm going to die trying, and that would be one of those prophetic things. It's going to be something that's held over him if they don't begin to look like the program that they did pre-2020.
Varsity softball dad next. What about Boston College football is a mess. They overachieved last season and then hired one of the best college football coaches in recent memory. I've been an MSU fan since I slid out of the birth canal, but Boston College over MSU is the lock of the season.
So here's what I mean by that. And they were okay. I mean, their coach did leave. They did hire a good coach. They hired Bill O'Brien. Their coach did leave to be a coordinator. They don't have much fan support. They're at a place where the NIL money I don't think is going to be there. You want to spend it on hockey anyway. I just think they're in this new college football. There's a ceiling there that is much lower than it is for a place like Michigan State or even a place like Purdue in football. That's what I mean. And when you look at I think that you're right that they probably do though look at Michigan State and say that's a potential win, and Michigan State looks at them the same way. I'd be very curious to see where those two programs are talent wise when they meet.
Jay Riemenschneider next. What do you think put MSU sports on the map big time? The Flintstones as a name group winning it all, D'Antonio taking football to unworldly heights and owning the rivalry, or something else? Because before you say 1998. You were hard-pressed to find merry MSU fans outside of Lansing. Many MSU fans outside of the Lansing area.
I disagree. I think there was a certain – what you see now is just the internet connects people differently. But there were tons of alumni everywhere. And Izzo certainly raised the profile of it as an athletic program 100%. But Magic had done that to some degree. There were as many – maybe there are more bandwagon fans, but there are just so many alums everywhere. I just don't think but in terms of like raising the profile, different people did that. I mean, you can look at the 65, 66 team and doing that to some degree. Magic 14 years later does that again. And then, obviously Izzo in the late 90s in 2000. And then D'Antonio showing what can be done in modern football helps. So they're all doing it to different degrees, but I do think the number of fans and alums were largely there. It was just they didn't feel as connected because, in the world before the internet, it wasn't as connected.
Jay Riemenschneider, give us your proof why is Boston College give us your proof why is Boston College is a mess of a program. That's what it says.
Yeah.
You said it twice, and would you say MSU program is a mess? Because I bet Boston College talkers are saying it when looking at their schedule and doing the over-under.
Yeah, what their over-under is, 6.5, I think, for Boston College? I have to check that. Hold on. Give me some Hoff real fast. Sorry.
I'm dreaming, I'm guided to another world, time and time again.
Come on.
At sunrise, I fight to stay asleep, 'cause I don't want to lose the comfort of this place.
Sorry, the internet's going way too slow for that.
I'm more lads.
No, it's okay. Yeah, and frankly, I don't care that much. You're right. It was in terms of where their actual team is and everything. It was an unintelligible comment. My point is, they don't have a fan base. They just don't. They don't have a football fan base that's of high major level. They don't have the resources to me to compete in the modern day. And so long term, the program is, even if, and maybe they get like Bill O'Brien's a terrific coach. And if he really wants to be there and he, they hired a good coach there, you're right. It was the mess of a program is probably the wrong word to use, clearly. And it touched a nerve. I didn't realize we had so many BC people around.
Yeah. Captain Sparty next. Is the initial hype and optimism for MSU football different than the initial hype and optimism for Mel Tucker? Any signs it's different?
Well, there wasn't that much hype for Mel Tucker initially. There really wasn't. I mean, I remember doing a Q, and I'm just going to do this based on who he was to fans and readers. I did a one-on-one with him in October of 2020. And granted, 2020 was a weird year, but it was clear they were going to actually play football at this point, and they were going to play football soon. And, it was one of the first times people really sat down with him and got a feel for who this guy was and what he wanted to do in terms of a one-on-one situation. And people read it, but people weren't that into it. It was not. People were not that into Mel Tucker at the beginning. It was 2021 that created that. So, and I think people are relieved to have something that's more D'Antonio-esque because they know it and they've seen it work, and they just it's just a different vibe is what it is. I don't know the hype. There really wasn't much hype around him, and I don't know that there's. I think there's hope around Jonathan Smith, but I don't think there's hype.
Mark Osterman, I was impressed by Graham when he said he went to Columbia, but then he followed it with Chicago. Is that like fucking U of M Flint of the Ivy League? Just busting balls. Love you, Graham. Would still love to hear the student paper firing walkout story.
Yeah, totally different school. Columbia College Chicago is not at all affiliated with Columbia, New York. We're not an Ivy League at all. It's a liberal arts school that will take just about anybody in admissions. But then
that's why it's great being dumb. You're just impressed by anybody that graduated college.
Yeah.
When you say it, I'm just like, yeah, Columbia. Holy shit, is that big time?
No, yeah, it's. I liked it. I had a great experience there, and knew going in that it's the city I wanted to be in, and I liked the school. I thought it was a good fit. I'll give you the quick story. Me being fired by the student newspaper in 2001, and the walkout of the other staff. Long story short. See if I can do this correctly. I had my ex-girlfriend, who was the managing editor at the time, was dating the faculty advisor, and that was sort of a unspoken. It was a bad secret. In other words, everybody knew it, and I didn't have a problem with it. Did not have an issue with it. But one night we were out at a bar, and I was with a couple other friends, coworkers. One coworker at the paper, and it was one of those bars that you have like a 4-top table, but there's a back bench that has a lot of tables connected to it. So I was actually next to my ex-girlfriend, and I was a little bit drunk and started talking a lot of shit. We had just won some big newspaper award, and she had not been around very much for it. She had another part-time job, and I was not all that kind. Anyway, the faculty advisor at one point said, "That's it. Basically, let's go outside." He was going to hit me. And I was like, and this guy's died since, so I rest his soul. But he's got a stupid looking face. My thought was, I was like, "Jim, I will put my hands behind my back and let you punch me and let you explain that to faculty why you took a swing at a student. Good luck with that." Anyway, the next day I worked a journalism open house at Columbia College for incoming freshmen, and started hearing rumors that I might be in a little bit of trouble. Showed up to the office Monday morning at the school newspaper and was let go and fired, and basically told for other reasons that it was time for me to move on and it was time for me to spread my wings. Got home, told my roommate who was on staff. He quit immediately, told another friend. He said, "Give me half an hour." 11 other editors walked off the staff. We created our own newspaper on May 7th, 2001 called The Independent Voice, in which I wrote the first ever story on Miguel Cabrera, who was with the Kane County Cougars outside Chicago. It's a poorly written story. I was busy doing other stuff, and Miguel didn't speak much English. But nonetheless, it was a nice attempt.
What year was that? Mickey didn't speak English.
2001.
Oh,
yeah, 2001. He was like
2024.
He was like an 18-year-old kid, making $1 million playing A-ball, and I thought that was a good story. And it could have been a good story if I had any kind of skills as an interviewer and writer, and the translator hadn't worked for the team, which made him nervous. Anyway. And so, I got offered the job. There was a huge deal. They wanted us to fire for sexual harassment or sue for sexual harassment, because what I did not know was that if a relationship that's inappropriate leads to something happening with employment, that's sexual harassment, even though I was never harassed sexually. And we chose not to do it. We did the Independent Voice instead. It was a great communal experience, putting out our own newspaper, finding the printer, doing the whole thing. Like I learned the advertising realm of it. Everything was born then. It was fun, and I hold no hard feelings. There are lots of people.
Why would you? You killed a guy.
No, I didn't have a problem toward him. The woman I had dated, we've years later hung out. Like, she's cool. We're good. I mean, we're adults now. It's just,
You guys hang out like with Elizabeth and stuff?
No, this was before I met Elizabeth. This was like early 30s. We just hung out once, and
a good part of the story there. If you want.
No, that wouldn't be there.
I'll just say, how do you hang out with an ex?
Yeah. So anyway, I got fired from the student newspaper, and we put out an independent paper, and that's it. That is a story almost worth telling. Would have been told better by somebody else. Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. A fantastic place this weekend for a date night for a beer. To check out their patio. If you want to eat outdoors, hang out downtown, they've got a great patio set up in downtown Lansing at Midtown Brewing Company.
Now that he's dead, you don't feel bad about telling it, though, right?
Or I would tell it before. I mean, it was. The worst part is I wrote.
I'll put my hands behind my back. Dude, I would have swung just for that. You know what I mean? I understand I probably would have went to jail, but it would have been just a great feeling for about 5 minutes,
In the Independent Voice, we wrote a detailed account of everything that went down with different administrators and everything. They didn't begin on our side, and by the end they were. It was. And then the Chicago Reader, which is the independent, it was like the alt weekly in town. Mike Miner, who is the media columnist, interviewed me and didn't make us look good, made us look like assholes, and it was not great. That is still actually online a little bit. You can find, if you Google the right terms, you can find that interview, or at least
is it
one
next
of
to
them.
the Hondo Africa story? Because I'm
somewhere, yeah.
Get a twofer.
Yeah, it's not. All
right,
it's not my best moment.
All right,
yeah.
Mark Osterman next is the Izzo individual coach tourney streak, just celebrating what will quickly surpassed by a few years after he retires. Or do you think NIL hits the Zags at all and causes them to miss a tourney in the next 5 years?
That's a good question. Will Gonzaga at some point lose this streak that allows his? That's a really good question. I don't know. They play in an easier conference, obviously, but there aren't as many places in the tournament than that league. If you have one down year, you might not be in. You can have bad losses easier in that league. I don't think it's a guarantee that Gonzaga.
I think
keeps
as long
it up
as
every
Mark
year.
Few's there, right? He's going to make the tourney.
You would think.
Like you said, with that division, it's just almost impossible.
You would think, yeah. I don't know how much longer he wants to do it. That's the question, too.
Shep next. Graham, are you already working on a think piece comparing Izzo's Spite Portal Center move to D'Antonio's have all the offensive assistants change offices gambit? They are basically the same thing, right?
I don't think this is a spite move. Yeah, I do not have the think piece in me here, but I don't think this is a spite move. I really don't.
At all. You don't think it's a spite move in the least?
No. I think this is a delicate dance move by Izzo. This is Izzo. Well, let me tell you why I think that. Right. From my understanding, the other centers on the team did not believe that Izzo was going to bring in anybody else. And the portal then closes May 1st, so they can't leave if they want to. Izzo doesn't really go back on his word on that because he's not going out to get somebody who's a 15-10 guy at another school who clearly replaces them. He just brings in a depth piece. He essentially replaces Sissoko, and that's an easy sell, right? And I think he had to do it though. I think like if you just look at them from a depth perspective, with the number of guys who are above 6'5" who play, you can say that. What's his nuts? The dunker.
Mark Montgomery.
Fuck you. God damn it.
Dwayne Stevens.
No, why am I forgetting his name? This is the worst one ever.
Longing to escape.
Darrell Summers?
No. Cohen Carr.
Antonio Smith? Oh.
Jesus. You can say Cohen Carr is a power forward. That's going to be his position, and we'll see what he develops into. But he's 6'5". My God, I apologize for struggling with the Cohen Carr.
Well, when you don't like someone, you forget their name.
I did not say that.
It's
I like Cohen Carr. Like Cohen Carr just fine.
Oh.
But if they had, say, Jackson Kohler or Carson Cooper sprained an ankle, hurt a foot, out a month.
Liz Frank.
Yeah, then you're talking about one center, and if you want to use Xavier Booker as your backup 5 and at the 4, you're just playing Carr at the 4. I think they want to redshirt the other freshman coming in. They had to do this. They need it for a numbers depth deal. They had to do this, and I don't think it had anything to do with spite. I think this is Izzo managing his roster, thinking this is the best way for him to win next year and beyond, without losing a lot of guys into the portal.
But you get another 5, which doesn't intimidate the guys that you have there. So you get depth, which will stop people from, I did get a 5, but it isn't anybody that's going to take any playing time from anybody. I mean, it just doesn't.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
It
So
may,
we're just basically, I hope he's better than Madi Sissoko. mean, that's what we're looking forward to.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying people should be, inspired by this, but I do think he's somebody who can contribute.
All right. Bo McJunkins, I like Kohler and Cooper more than most. I think they're talented, but can you really say you're going to die trying if you're competing with VCU and other small schools? This is Michigan State, not a mid-major. Tom doesn't seem to take advantage of what he has built.
So this is, again, what Bo is saying here is the great criticism, and it done so succinctly, because the argument is if you say you're going to die trying, then go out and look like you die trying. You have the resources. You have built something that allows you to recruit in the portal in ways that some schools can't. You have it in resources and NIL money. You have it in name and brand. You have it in who Izzo is, and there aren't many guys. So there's an absolute criticism, and I think this is largely at the root of the frustration for people. It's like this, the portal and the new era could be something that sinks Izzo, but while he's been able to keep this team together, it should be something that can help if he can just add the right pieces. I think Izzo's argument would be the best way for me to build a champion again is development, using where I need to supplement through the portal, do it here and there. But if I bring in somebody who's a one-year big man and then Cooper and Kohler also leave, does the program get better? Does it start to look like I'm just replacing recruits? Can I look them in the eye? Right now, he can tell a guy like Jaden, the next Jaden Akins, look, I didn't recruit over you. I gave you your shot to be the guy at the 2. Like, there's things he can tell guys that I think helps him recruit. This is my thought process on it. All that said, Bo, I understand where you and others are at. Like, this is the crux of the frustration that Izzo has advantages right now that he doesn't seem to be taking advantage of.
Chris Eastlake next. Graham, whether people get too excited, we should cancel local news for Inside the NBA. Also, Graham, whether people need to get off their ass and alert me about the Northern Lights, will I ever be good enough for you, Graham?
Well, I'll tell you what, Chris, 2 straight weeks, there was rain in the forecast after 5 p.m. On softball night, and you came through. We played, and we won twice in a row. So you're good. You're good with me there.
Did he not announce when the Northern Lights were going to be on his weathercast?
I don't know if he did or not. I didn't see the tweet.
You have to.
I didn't see the tweet. I want like an alarm on the phone, though, that goes off and says, get outside, Northern Lights. Just like get inside, take shelter, get outside,
Eastlake,
Northern Lights.
Make sure you just text Graham first. Cover all your bases.
To this first point, I do not want to see Inside the NBA go away, and I don't know what form it'll be afterwards, but I really got annoyed by the pro-NBC, like, hey, Round Ball Rock is back. I hated that stuff when it was going to come at the expense Inside the NBA. Yeah, and I understand those guys will probably wind up on Peacock. If they wind up with NBC, they'll wind up on or Amazon or ESPN. But if they're on an NBC game, like, let those guys go like they normally do. Like, freaking, get rid of Kimmel. Not Kimmel. Get rid of who's the NBC guy? Not Kimmel.
That's Larry David. Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. Thank you.
Is that Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah, you're right. You gave me the right answer for once.
I thought you were talking about Ernie Johnson.
No. But if you got an NBA game, I think NBC is going to play I think their network games are going to be on the weekend, so it's irrelevant. But say they had Friday night NBC basketball or something like that with the NBA, you don't go to the local news. You let Chuck and Ernie and Kenny do their thing. I'm sorry for you don't go to Fallon. Those guys are not as funny, and that was my point.
Next one from Chris. If D'Antonio decided to hang it up in 2015, do you think the success would have continued, or just took longer to fall off?
It's a great question. Because by 2017, I think it was going to fall off anyway because of what happened with the 2016 recruiting class and all that. 2015 is the peak of like MSU football powers, right? You've done the 36-5 run. The program has been elevated to a new level. Narduzzi would not have been the successor necessarily because he had left a year earlier, although maybe they would have gone and got him because he would have been a hot name at that point. But MSU's program would have been a really hot commodity for some coach. Like, they would have gotten coaches who were established good coaches at high-profile jobs who thought, boy, I can do something at MSU. And the shape it was in at that point, if they had made the right hire with the right energy and the right everything, that might have been the moment. Now, nobody at the end of 2015 was going to tell D'Antonio to retire. Nobody wanted that, right? But and nobody, nor should he have. I mean, they were rolling. But yeah, if you're trying to think of points in time where it could have been perfect if they did it right, and keep in mind this is before the transfer portal and the idea that you could, if a coach left, all the players could leave. That might have been the moment.
Some dude who has rosier cheeks, Reese Olson or Torkelson? Do the Tigers lead the league in rosy cheeks?
Torkelson's definitely got rosy cheeks.
I think Reese has him beat, though.
Yeah.
Because Reese also looks like he's 12, so you couple that with the rosy cheeks.
Yeah, it is amazing how rosy cheeks either make you likable or a punchable face. And it's all based on your performance. Like Reese Olson is really good, and so his rosy cheeks are endearing. Torkelson is like, God, I don't hit that mother.
Man, what if Scheffler had rosy cheeks? He would have been tased.
He'd been in trouble.
Thank God he didn't have
trouble.
rosy cheeks.
Yeah.
Some dude, did MSU just trade defensive tackles with Oregon?
Well, they traded. They each, there aren't actual trades, but they did get an Oregon defensive tackle.
Why
and
not?
They did lose one. Yeah.
Can we make trades now? There's no rules.
No rules.
Nah. Some dudes, Izzo believes in his guys, and we call him stubborn. Do people just call him stubborn because he does what he thinks he should do instead of what you think he should do? Of course he has to win now. But if the team doesn't contend, it won't be due to stubbornness. It will just be because he's wrong. With a little bit of stubbornness.
Izzo is a stubborn ass. He is that, and he will tell you that. He is stubborn. But in this, I don't think this is out of – there's a part of him that is trying to hang on to something, but he honestly believes it's the right thing. Correct. And so you're right. It'll be more because he's just wrong.
Munfield Keg next. MSU basketball doesn't have a team to compete for a title next year. So while I'm disappointed in the quality of the transfer center, we didn't need to break the bank. My question is, will Izzo go out and spend to bolster the lineup in Fears junior or senior year, which may be Izzo's last?
Well, tell me how they're going to be better in Fears junior year than they are now. Like this, it's going to be, if you start looking ahead beyond this season, it's going to be very interesting to see what Izzo does and what they do in that program. Because this coming year, you potentially have an Xavier Booker. If you have him for one more year, if you're Michigan State, you're hoping he is like a 15-7 guy who hits shots and is a pro prospect and is a star, right? You're hoping that develops and that everybody plays to their ceiling and they could be a really good team. But after next year, they're going to lose Jaden Akins. You're going to lose Frankie Fiddler. You're going to lose Xavier Booker. And so you're going to need, and granted, they got some freshmen coming in next year that should be really good. They might be a really good team. They might be fine. And part of the reason he's trying to hang on to Kohler and Carson Cooper is those guys have 2 years left, so that you should be okay on the interior as long as those guys continue to develop. But they're going to have to make some moves to be better. Fears junior year, some guys are going to have to develop, be a very different roster.
Matt C. Next. Are you guys sick of the answering Tom Izzo questions yet? Just come out and say he's never winning another Big Ten title or national championship with his approach and be done with it. Fan base needs to just accept that there is no standard and we are on the same path as Clemson football.
So we didn't have a show in 2013-14, 10 years ago.
Thank God.
But the angst was similar. Different circumstances. But I do recall, and Twitter was a little different, and things were, and the program had been up. But there was a real sense that Izzo had lost his recruiting touch. That was all anybody talked about. And the angst was they were a great team that had a chance to win a national championship, but people thought that was it. Like after that year, they were missing it. They missed out on Jabari Parker, Jaleel Okafor, Tyler Eulis, a number of guys, right? All these Chicago kids. Izzo tried to get in late because the state of Michigan had sort of dried up as a recruiting area. And they get Plan C, Tum Tum Nairn, Alvin Ellis, Javon Bess. It's like, this is it. They're done. People were sure of it. And then what happened? Well, then they made an unexpected run. Denzel Valentine really developed and helped bridge that gap, and they had that great year in 16 before they fell short, and they made the Final Four in 15. He got a transfer in Bryn Forbes, which helped. And then you get the Miles Bridges, Cassius Winston, Nick Ward, Joshua Langford class. It's like, well, boom, and then you get Jaren Jackson and Xavier Tillman the next year. And all of a sudden, okay, there's a whole nother run. And I'm just saying this is not the first time people have assumed that Izzo was done or Izzo was washed, as people like to say today, or whatever it is. I don't think you can assume anything about this program and this team yet. Now, he is getting older. The system is changing. It may not continue to happen for him, but I would not bet against him or count him out.
Andrew Gauthier next. Huge weekend for events in the Lansing area. Any thoughts on why these aren't spread out a bit more? Seems like they could save some stuff for the summer.
Sounds like a man who's got to work a lot of events for Groovy Donuts this weekend. I will say this. It is a great opportunity to get Groovy Donuts. If you listen to this Friday night at the Lugnuts game, Saturday all day at the Capitol, really cool fest going on there as well, and Groovy Donuts and Andrew will be there. Therese and Jason will be there for part of the day. Elizabeth, I may even be there part of the day, but Elizabeth will be there for sure. It's the Best of Lansing Festival from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Capitol. 100 vendors, including, of course, Groovy freaking Donuts. And if you can't be there or you just want to swing on by Groovy Donuts, they're open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. And this week's Donut of the Week, which you can order online, is the Baklava Donut Delight. Looks absolutely unbelievable. Greek twist on a donut. And you can go to groovydonuts.com to place your order for that today. Or, again, swing on by the Lugnuts game Friday night, the Capitol all day Saturday, and say hi to Andrew, say hi to Elizabeth, say hi to Jason and Therese, and maybe me. And yeah, there's that.
Graham will be the guy with the donuts on his shirt.
That's the problem. Tonight's going to be interesting because I am going to be selling donuts, and there are going to be a lot of donuts in front of me.
Buy one, get one, am I right? You buy one, I eat one.
I sell one, I eat one. Yep. Like when I was a teenager, I wanted to work at Fazoli's and be the breadstick guy.
Fuck yes.
Because I thought, I'll give you one, I'll eat one. I'll give you one, I'll eat one.
We loved the breadstick lady at senior year.
Yeah, it's the best deal. But to your question, Andrew, it is kind of weird. I wonder if it's because next week is Memorial Day, and they're not going to do events on Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people are out of town. So this is kind of the final weekend of the spring when everybody's around. You start to get in the summer week. That would be my answer, but it does seem like a lot all at once, for sure.
Professor and Tyler Simmons next. Are you excited, and will you play the new college football video game? Maybe an audience tournament related. Do you know where I can purchase or download a print and alternate cover that doesn't include Michigan?
I'm not a video game guy anymore. I was as a kid. I just haven't been in a long time.
I'm not anymore, but we played the shit out of that game, so I think I might just get a system and play that game, right? I don't know how much they are anymore, but I might just get a system in that game and play it again.
Yeah, no, I
don't know.
I'd like to check it out. I mean, in my teenage years, NBA Live 95, all that stuff, NBA Live 96, 97, I was all on Sony PlayStation.
Masturbation and video games, that's all it was about.
Absolutely.
Back in the day.
Absolutely. I mean, fucking everybody masturbates.
All right, Tyler Simmons, when do you think they will announce the start times for MSU football games?
Some of this will be 2 weeks before, as it always is, and that's I think the pain in the ass for a lot of people is it's based on TV, it's based on how the season's going, and the networks get their first pick of games, and so some of it's always going to be 2 weeks before, sometimes 6 days out. Some games will get announced ahead of time, and I will have an update in the story on with Haller. I did talk to him about the opener on Friday night, which is right now still a Saturday scheduled game, and I'll just tease the story because I want to put that in there, and I don't want anybody to aggregate anything on what I say before it goes there. So I apologize for not giving you the full bit.
Justin Spiro next. If you could revive one shuttered Lansing area eatery, which would you choose? Lansing, East Lansing, and Okemos restaurants are. Do we get asked this like every Friday?
We get asked it once in a while.
Okay.
But, all right, so one place you could revive. What was it, Bonnie's for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Yeah. See if I can come up with something else. And Lansing,
because I heard Danny McBride he swung through Lansing and stopped at Bonnie's and got a Bonnie burger. because he heard
was
about it.
Really good.
And I was like, God, I wish I was at Bonnie's that one time. That would have been so awesome.
Bonnie's was an outstanding place. It really was. Really was good. You know, the place that I missed that was pretty good Italian food was Emil's. You remember on Michigan Avenue? Emil's East.
Yeah, grew up on that place.
Yeah, so Emil's would be one place that I love. It was still around. Was kind of a classic, good date place. Too good wine, good pasta. It was really good.
DMB top 2 to 3 quick and good lunch spots near downtown Lansing.
Well, Midtown Brewing Company for one. I mean, you are in downtown Lansing on Washington Avenue, and it's a fantastic lunch spot and great patio, as we've mentioned. Good.
Next question from Tim Stout.
Yeah.
What a live read question.
Yeah. Now, if you want other places near downtown Lansing that are, I mean, there's, you want to stay on, no, I'm just going to go Midtown. There, Midtown Brewing Company. If you haven't done Midtown, I would say Midtown. I do love, Midtown Brewing Company.
Yeah. DMB, top 2 to DMB, what would have happened to Mel Tucker at MSU without the scandal? Both of you, please make a prediction. I love when people say, now both of you answer that. Like if I had an answer, there's no way I could throw my answer in if it's just for Graham.
What do you think?
What would without the scandal, no being his bag? I think that there would have, obviously, with the way the direction of the program was going, I just think that after 5 years would have been looking at the record and going, man, what do we do? I think that they would have been looking to move on. Michigan State, that is.
It would have been very interesting how bad last year, like what I don't have a complete grasp on is how bad last year would have been with Tucker. Remember, he leaves after the Richmond game. They face a Washington team that's on fire that would have beaten them badly anyway. I don't know if it would have looked quite like that. Like, that was a weird week to go into that game. Would not have gone well, though. So the Michigan and Washington games aren't going to go well. Penn State game may go a little different. I was somebody who didn't think the direction of the program was necessarily doomed. I do think he handled the Peyton Thorne situation poorly. Like, just as somebody who values people in communication and leadership, I think in his shoes, I could have thread the needle to convince all 3 quarterbacks that they were valued in the program, they had a role, and kept all 3. And they would have been better off last year for sure with the experience of Peyton Thorne. He may have his limitations as a quarterback, but they would have been better off with him. And then, moving forward, it's different than what they have now. And I think that the program he started to try to build with the the Lamborghinis and the pictures on the field and was a way you recruited before NIL, and he was really good at that. And I think their NIL money was going to probably be there for him, but not. It was going to be interesting to see how that went. I think There's part of me that wonders if Mel Tucker is hired in 2017 at Michigan State, if he doesn't. Some of what he was dreaming of bringing to fruition doesn't work a little bit. Now, whether it would be sustainable, I have my doubts. But yeah, it's a good question. I don't know where it would have gone 100%.
Dino Spumoni next. Who would be the best 2 new additions to the Big Ten, assuming more expansion happens? Mine would be Notre Dame and Florida State.
What schools would you want if you could have?
Do we need more?
Yeah.
I don't know.
2 more. Get to 20.
I mean, Notre Dame would definitely be one.
Yeah.
Well, who's left? Who else?
North Carolina is the one everybody wants, and I
can take it at UNC, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Texas was before. Virginia fits the blueprint. Virginia is an awesome place to visit. Charlottesville is beautiful. So just from Chapel Hill or Virginia would be amazing. Florida State, take it or leave it. To me, it would be Notre Dame for sure, and then like North Carolina or Virginia.
David Jackson, how much of an ass was Shaq telling Joker to his face that he shouldn't have been MVP? And that would be like you, the day before the Big Ten tournament title game, had told Cassius Winston in a televised press conference that, I respect you, but it's clear that Xavier Simpson should have been MVP.
It was awkward. It didn't need to happen.
That is far from the same thing.
Yeah, it's different.
Shaq is a respected former legend Hall of Fame basketball player.
I didn't think that's why it's far from the same thing. Okay.
No, yeah, that's why it's
Oh.
Because what that whole show is predicated on those guys being upfront and honest, and that's why people like them. He just came out. Could he have withheld that and maybe said it some other time? Maybe. I don't. Who cares?
Yeah, it didn't work as well as in the moment, but it is true. It's sort of on brand for that show.
Well, it helps that he talks like you. He's like, yeah, then I just want to be honest with you.
I think Shaq would be a great spokesman for Groovy Donuts. He only does sponsorships for people he believes in. If we just got one Groovy Donut in front of his face, I think it would work.
David Jackson, regarding Zizman Zapala, and keeping in mind what each team needs out of their post position, how do you compare him to the 2 7-footers that Michigan is bringing in? And how many years of eligibility do those two have?
It's a good question on their eligibility situation. I don't know. But the big difference is those two guys are starting or playing a ton and being relied upon. I think they're both probably higher-end prospects. But, so I think there's a difference there in what they're being brought in to do. I don't know what year they're in. Offhand, I apologize.
Next one from David. I haven't heard anything about MSU star recruit from 3 years ago, Alex Van Summeren, particularly with the defensive tackle defections we've gone through. Shouldn't 2024 be his time to step up in a big way? Is he healthy? My God, is he even still here?
Well, he is on the roster. He was all injured last year, missed last year because of an injury. It redshirted after playing 4 games the year before, so he really hasn't had a chance to play yet. And he was you're right. He was a good talent when they got him, and if he can stay healthy, he still could have a good career. Kid's got to be patient. I mean, he's got 4 years of at least 3 years of eligibility left, depending on waivers and other things like that. So he could still be a good player there.
The last one from David is Scottie Scheffler due any sympathy? He's not a golfer from a tiny country no one has heard of. Scheffler is an American from New Jersey. Are we to think he doesn't know the difference between police and a mall cop? More important, did this event open up any betting opportunities for you this morning? And from Andrew Gauthier, did Scheffler's early morning arrest affect your view on who wins this week? No.
Yeah.
No. The guy he's a robot. I was really shocked, though, when I saw him in an orange jumpsuit. That's when I started looking at some of the apps going like, what could I sprinkle on today for his round? But yeah, he's unbelievable.
I did what I haven't been able to do in a long time. I stayed completely away from this as a betting opportunity. And I think one of the things that helped was the NBA playoffs are in full force, final weekend of the Premier League. Like, I got enough stuff I can have some action on and enjoy because I always lose so badly in golf. And don't get me wrong, British Open, I'll be back. U.S. Open, I'll be back. But the PGA is one, and I think part of it is I know the PGA moved spots because it didn't want to be an afterthought and it wanted to be in May, but it creeps up on me fast enough that I don't know. I'm able to skip it. I don't need it.
Travis Maynard, who emerges as the vocal leader on next year's MSU basketball team? Fears seems like the obvious choice, but as a sophomore who was robbed of vital experience, it feels like an additional voice might be beneficial. Akins, Trey, who's going to be that dude?
I think you'll see, just in terms of natural leaders, I think Jeremy Fears has that. I think Trey Holloman has quite a bit of it, and I talked to him last year when I did a piece on him about him waiting to be an upperclassman, waiting to have the guys in front of him gone. I think it's hard to be coming off the bench in his shoes as a leader when you're not in that role as a starter, when there's a number of 23-year-olds in front of you. So I think those two, it's a pretty good duo of natural leadership.
DeUper, can we all agree that Graham was right and it's pronounced Seisman? It's the perfect name for a 7-footer brought in for depth.
Fair enough. Seisman would have been better for a
Seisman.
I'm sure like Hoggard, we will call him 7 different things throughout the next year.
Sizzy. DeUper, how many MSU coaches or athletes do you think use anonymous accounts to regularly contribute to the show? Could Alan Haller be the real Hans Jurgens?
That would be incredible. That would be absolutely incredible. You don't know. There could be one out there who contributes this way. Yeah, it would be really funny.
There might be a few.
Yeah.
I don't know. Big John Hogg next. The addition of Seisman significantly raises the floor of MSU's team. Why are people still pissed?
Well, because I think they wanted somebody who raised the ceiling.
Yeah.
I mean,
how much of the floor is it raised, Big John?
Yeah. So I think that's why.
I'm sorry, I'm disappointed. Big John Hogg, Tottenham fans cheering their loss to Man City to put a damper on Arsenal's title run is interesting. Can you think of any other scenario like that with regards to Detroit, Michigan State sports? It's a weird thing, right?
Well, it would be, okay, let me try to find the best example of this. Say Michigan State football late in the year was playing Ohio State's kind of a little bit of a rival of its own. But say Illinois was, there's no somebody being in their own division, I guess. But say Rutgers. They're playing Rutgers the final week of the season. If Rutgers wins, Michigan doesn't go to the Big Ten championship game and is probably not in the playoff. If Michigan State wins, Michigan goes. That would be a similar scenario, and I think Michigan State fans would be slightly conflicted. The difference is Michigan fans would throw it back at them like the idea that you're not even concerned about you're more obsessed with us than yourselves, which would be a fair comment in that moment. And in English soccer, that's accepted. That's expected. It is expected that if you are a Tottenham fan, that you do not want at all cost Arsenal to win the title. So it's just more accepted and expected in English soccer.
Big John Hogg, what is your least favorite Groovy Donut?
What? I don't know that was a thing. I also don't.
One with peanuts on it because I'm allergic to peanuts.
There you go. One that would kill Jason would be it. I don't try donuts. I don't think I would like, and I don't know that I've ever had. Like I have donuts I like more than others, but I don't know that I've ever had a Groovy Donut.
They're all like my children.
You can't have a favorite.
Big John Hogg. As I'm headed to a bachelor party right now, in your younger days, what was your idea of a great bachelor party? Location, activities, all of it.
Well, it starts with Pure Options. If you're on your way, by the way, swing by. If you're on your way to a bachelor party, I would swing by a Pure Options location.
I'm pretty sure those guys are prepared.
They're ready.
They already did, yeah.
Probably, yeah. Mount Pleasant, east side of the state, west side of the state, Lansing, of course. Go to pureoptions.com, find out where the nearest Pure Options to you is to you, and let them know Couch of the Roof sent you, because if you're going to a bachelor party, you're probably getting $50 or more, and they'll give you a complimentary free 8 the Pro Grow.
And then go to Hawaii Spa, where it's BOGO Friday.
So anyway, best bachelor parties you've been to, what are the keys?
I mean, they were all, especially in the early 2000s, it was get a party bus, have someone drive us, get shit-faced to go to a strip club. That was our idea back then. It's not as my idea now, thankfully. But, yeah, that was like just beers and shots and all sort of drunken stupidness.
I've been to a number of bachelor parties and liked them for different reasons. And you're right. As you get older, they change. And the one thing that really does not change is transportation. That means you don't have to deal with it. You don't have to drive in a party bus or limo or something that allows you to continue the party while in movement.
And that is the person you tip heavily, is that driver dealing with all of your bullshit. Yeah,
100%.
We the last bachelor party I was at, we ended up at Omar's, obviously, and I look over and the driver was in the club with us. Like, he wasn't drinking, but he was like drinking a water and sipping it. And I look over, oh shit, because usually they wait in the car.
Yeah,
but,
they and like I my own bachelor party, for example, loved it. Started out, my buddy Scott Powers put it on. We started at a White Sox game and did a package where we got like food beforehand, and then there was like this massive downpour. And the worst part is Elizabeth had done something where she was sending me a message that was going to appear on the big screen at the White Sox game. And the rain was so heavy we left before it, and then we went.
What did it say?
I don't remember what it said. Yeah.
What?
I know it wasn't.
How romantic.
Scott knew it was happening and was like, well, I didn't see it. And Scott was trying to get us to stick around for a minute. Well, we started today playing basketball at Roosevelt University in Chicago. Got a gym. We knew somebody was the soccer coach there. And so a big group of guys playing basketball. Back to the hotels, changed, go to the White Sox game. Then we went to an Irish pub. We had a musician doing Irish songs and drank beer. And
did you go to a strip club?
We did not. No.
Why not?
I didn't have any interest in it.
How old were you?
36.
Oh. All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's
past.
Yeah, there's certain points.
But you never went. You didn't go your whole 20s. So
no, I went to Omar's when I was the best man
I'm not saying you've never been. I'm just saying as much as I went to a strip club in my 20s, like 18 through 20 years old or 30 years old, it wasn't
like my thing. It wasn't like my thing for a while. Yeah,
that was my thing.
We didn't. I've had enough. I've thrown bachelor parties. I've been part of them, but I would say the big thing is transportation, because I've been to things that were like really fun. We went to a harness racing in Balmoral in Chicago, outside Chicago once. Had a little suite. It was fun. We bet on the games, but then we didn't have transportation organized, and it kind of killed the vibes of the next step. Like you having transportation set up for people, I think, is the key to the whole thing, and being around good people.
I actually found a Polaroid of 19-year-old Rube at Deja Vu with a stripper. When they would take Polaroids, you would sit in a booth, and then like you'd put like $25 in, and
was that a thing?
She would sit on your lap. Oh yeah.
You still have that?
I have the picture. Yeah.
That's great.
I'm sure you guys don't want to see it. But.
Story worth telling, presented by our friends again at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Atlanta.
Mr. Benjen, instead of going into the portal, are we sure Izzo didn't go into Chat GPT and create AI players? Seasman, Frankie Fiddler?
It's a fair point. Yeah.
Why? Because of their
names. Yeah.
Benjen, Rube solves the world's problems. There is a lot of construction in my neighborhood. Almost every day, some bro parks a gravel or lumber truck across the front of my driveway on the road so I can't get out. What should I do?
So this is a segment we're talking about doing where Jason, is a problem solver. And I think it could be good.
I just get stoned and ask questions.
Yeah, so we may be adding this to the midweek shows, and we will see. What would you do in this situation?
See, now the dumb guy in me wants to just go slash the tires, be an idiot, right? But I'm older now, and I was thinking, and I know this is Graham Couch live read territory, but why not try to bring some Groovy Donuts? Hey guys, how you doing? I got you guys some donuts. I was just wondering. I live over here. Could you not block my way now? And then if they're an asshole, then you can go to another level. But I think that you should try to kill them with kindness. And I never thought I would say this, but at 45, yeah.
That is brilliant, because first of all, if you give somebody a box of Groovy Donuts, that is such a nice gift that it says
I did it at the Ovid post office because those ladies take care of Treese and I, so we got them some Groovy Donuts. They have loved us ever since. So I just think it's a good start. And again, that way you can kind of gauge whether or not these people are assholes, because if they're jerks to you, who's a jerk to someone that brings free donuts, right? So then I would act accordingly after the fact. I hate rude people.
If you are trying to thank somebody in your life or avoid confrontation, Groovy Donuts is here for you.
Spawn of Stout sponsors next. Folks, my Slimming Muskox flannel arrived just in time for bonfire season, okay? And it's just so happened I ran into my good friend Graham Couch's neighbors in downtown Lansing the other night and our favorite Lansing softball legend hasn't had a backyard fire yet. What gives, Gramanito?
It's early but we've been to others, I think, right? Not it's fair. We haven't had one yet.
You gotta get the backyard ready, right?
Backyard's kind of it's pretty.
We're almost there as well.
It's pretty good to go. Time. We've been to one backyard party already in the neighborhood that this particular neighbor was at. So,
let's close it down. 1 a.m.
There was a lot of young people there. It was late. Yeah, it was pretty late night. It was like, oh my god, too many young people.
Who are the old guys? Who's he?
That was my worry, actually. It's like, how old do I look? Yeah,
that's the worst.
Yeah.
Spawn of Stout sponsors. Boy, I'm doing well on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app with the Couch and the Rube $1 parlay bet against the Marlins and Rockies. I might even be able to pick up a tab on my next trip to Front 43 neighborhood pub. Well, I do well enough for a dozen Groovy Donuts. I just don't know, okay?
Appreciate you, Spawn of Stout sponsors. Such a good bit. Well done.
Mojo Jojo, what's the worst gift you've ever given a friend, loved one, enemy, etc.?
Worst gift.
Why would you get an enemy a gift, though? I guess a funny gift. I'm not. I don't want to pat myself on the back. I don't think I'm a terrible gift giver, to be honest. Like with Treese, I don't know. She's really tough to buy for, but
yeah, I'm sure there's
nothing's really.
I'm sure there's a gift card in there that should have been more once. I would say it's probably this when I was.
But is that the worst gift ever? If you didn't put enough on a gift card?
So I was going to propose to my wife on Christmas night 2015, and she was living in Chicago and I was living here, and anyway, so I was only going to be there for a day before flying down to cover Michigan State in the Cotton Bowl against Alabama. My whole plan, I had this whole Christmas night thing. I had bought this little tree that we had set up in our apartment there, and you had the ring and all this stuff. And her uncle screwed it up by thinking she was going to be alone, so he was going to bring his whole family down for Christmas dinner, and he screwed up my romantic night. And anyway, I've told that story before. Story not worth telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company. But in the last minute, then I didn't really have a Christmas gift. It was like, oh shit, the ring was going to be it. That's all you got to do, and so I went out and I bought a mattress topper and a vacuum. like a little vacuum. And she wanted both those things, but a vacuum for Christmas sucks. And I have to say that was...
At what age?
34, 35, 35.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. 30.
I would be excited about a new vacuum.
Yeah, the Master Topper
Dyson?
was not cheap, though. Master Topper
old.
was great. You know, I don't it wasn't bad. It just it went from being this it was yeah. I think she might have thought I was going to propose soon too, and she got a Master Topper and a vacuum.
Mojo Jojo, I have 1 month left until I start school again for 2+ years. Any activities you'd recommend in my remaining free time? Man, I would travel. I would do some travel. Do something. I mean, even if it's by yourself, go to a concert by yourself. I mean, I don't know. Grab
Take a trip.
Someone you love or someone you like hanging with, and just man. You gotta in this last month. You got to do something where you're gonna look back and go, that was awesome.
I mean, he's not checking into prison here, but still, you're right.
I'm sorry. It looks like to me as a dumb person when I start school again for 2+ years. I see Scottie Scheffler's mugshot. Like I just that's just prison to me.
I like that idea though.
Yeah. Mojo Jojo, rough estimate. What % of professional sports owners want to win championships and put in the work versus the pure profit business side?
Yeah, it's a good question because there are owners who certainly care more about the money, and there are some who really want to win. Yeah, and Mike Ilitch, there might be the two.
Yeah, but Mike Ilitch, he would spend though. He wanted to win one before he died.
Well, that's the thing. I think you get to a certain age, and you're like, man,
why though? I feel if you own a team, no matter what, I would rather
want to win.
I would rather win and be young and be able to travel around and show my trophy off.
Yeah, it's a good question. I have no
own a team.
I have no idea why.
Why would you want to own a team knowing that a majority of the fans hate you? I don't understand. It's not like they're asking Chris Ilitch to go spend $1 billion every off, $500 million like the Dodgers do.
And certainly don't buy
It's
a
crazy.
team. Don't buy a team in a like if you want to buy a team and you're cheap, buy an NHL team because they have a hard cap, and then you're going to spend the hard cap and no more. But don't buy a baseball
Get
team.
out.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Fart soup. Why is AJ Hinch or any Tigers manager not named Leland ever direct about player performance? Baez is a mega ass, like worst player in baseball ass. I know trashing him to the press isn't great, but to not say you're going to bench him, but instead play him more, the fuck.
Yeah, I mean
I get it. He has to say that kind of skipper.
You're managing
speed.
a player's ego too, and a manager's performance. Yeah, you're not trying to. You're trying to get the most out of him. It doesn't help to just. I mean,
like I thought it was crazy when he said, "Well, if Torque doesn't start hitting, he's going to start sitting next to me." Like I was shocked when he said that. So
a little tough love, yeah.
I mean, but Baez, it's just like, is he good in the lock? Do players like him?
This will be his last year with Detroit. I really think.
Are you sure?
I think so.
Okay, I don't know what he has to do. Fart soup, Jason. Sometimes I get really sad when I catch up on all the Couch and the Rube episodes. Do you have any recommendations for filling this gram-size hole in my life? Insert Couch live read here.
Well, Groovy Donuts. No, just kidding.
Is this the only podcast you listen to? Because I have a couple other, others I like. And
yeah, I mean, what would be a podcast recommendation for you?
The Drew Lane podcast used to be Drew and Mike. Drew and Mike used to be a radio show. Old young Rube, when he was 15, used to listen to in the morning and then record when he went to Rochester High School. So I grew up with that show, and they did a podcast started in 2016. They talk the topics of the day, like entertainment, celebrity news, and stuff. I love the show. It's awesome.
And one of the things you can do is, and I do this sometimes with podcasts, is if there's a topic I like, you can search it like on your app, and you'll find other things. And you might not like every podcast, but I'll run into guests or other podcasts that I like, find out that I really like, or hosts you really like. And it's almost right away. It's almost a chemistry that you have with the host. And it's a good way of just...
the chemistry you have with the host,
well, you know,
as
what I
a
mean?
listener,
yeah, like right away, you're like, I like this guy. I like this guy's voice. It doesn't really matter who he has on or she has on, and it's, yeah.
All right, Singus X2 next. As a pretend European, can you shed light on why Euros don't like ice with their cold drinks? Everything is room temp, and it's awful.
It's weird. I don't mind room temperature water, but because I guess I'm not that pretend. But it is weird that they get used to it. I guess it's a great.
That's
question.
not an excuse.
Okay.
There's nothing better than a soft drink with ice cubes. And,
yeah.
I don't know, man. Rich K next. Which is more important for an NFL team's success? Being great at the draft evaluation or being a great player development?
Well, it's a total both thing, right? You have to be.
Yeah.
But you got to get the right players. And so that's I would say that's probably slightly more important. But yeah, you got to
have your guys. Am I right? Richard Kane, how severe will Manchester City's penalty be for breaching financial fair play rules? Points deduction, demotion, expulsion? As Keith Winans thinks would be on the table if found guilty on all 115 accounts. Will EPL actually give a punishment to fit the crime for a team of City's stature?
This is fascinating. What people need to understand here, and if people don't know what's going on, in English football, they have what's called financial fair play, and it's sort of, they don't have a salary cap, but you can't just you can't spend more money than you're bringing in. You can't just have owners willing to lose money and just spend into the ether. They want you to, you've got to build a club that's sustainable. And so this year, a couple teams, Everton had a 10-point rules or 10-point hit in the middle of the year, so they lost 10 points. It almost put them into the relegation battle. It certainly happened to Nottingham Forest, lost some points. And the team that's been investigated that hasn't been punished at all is the team that's going to win the league, Man City, which spends tons of money, and there are 115 counts that they're being investigated for. They make a lot of money, and they bring a lot of good vibes and notoriety to the Premier League, and the perception of the Premier League is the best soccer in the world and all that stuff. It'll be very interesting to see if they would bring the hammer down. I tend to think they won't, but some people I talk to are really into this stuff, think it could be something like demotion or relegation, and to relegate them for a year and to lose all those players and have to. I mean, it is possible. It will be fascinating to see if anything like that happens. I tend to think there will be a points deduction like going into next year, and it could be severe. It could be something all year. They're just to be a mid-table club. They've got a battle, but it would hurt the league too, and the league is aware of that. So I'm very cautious to see what happens.
Mike Scott, Rube, would you rather watch Javi Baez highlights for 2 hours with Graham or Mexican soccer for 2 hours with him? Okay. And if you do either, can we get it taped and put on YouTube Mystery Science Theater style? I think I would be funnier if we were doing the Mystery Science Theater style and we were watching Javi Baez highlights. That would be funnier. But if you're asking me, I would sit there and watch the soccer game with Graham, and I would smoke a bunch of pure options, and we would just try to have fun with it. I mean, listen, I don't like to sit down and watch soccer, but if you're giving me those two, yeah.
And here's why Jason would actually enjoy Mexican soccer more than like English soccer. Like I was watching late last night a Liga MX playoff semifinal, and in Spanish. And so the voices, they get excited. It's all in Spanish, and so it makes it even more fun. And it was an exciting game, and I think that would be the
and also what soccer does best, they keep it moving. Games are 2 hours. It's one of the upsides I say of soccer. So I know what I'm getting into. I know I'm going to be out of there in no time.
And Rich Kane previously also asked to his question about Manchester City about whether European football teams when they get salaries adjusted when they get relegated or promoted. There are in their contract. Some players are let out of their contract entirely if they get demoted. Some salaries are. I mean, people make less at different divisions, so it depends on the contract of the player, what they're actually making.
Mike Scott Graham, can you post photos of how your wife helped you dress Parisian in Paris?
I cannot. I mean, it wasn't like extreme. I wasn't like
you guys didn't take any photos.
No, we did, but
yeah. So how did you dress? There's not a picture you can show us.
Well, it's just I looked a little less Lansing, a little more Paris. That's all. She did not like she thought some of my collared polos were starting to be worse for the wear, and she just wanted me to get new stuff and a little different style. And
did you wear a beret or something?
I did not.
Why not?
Because I don't wear hats when I might sweat.
You wear that derby hat, though. I mean, why can't you wear a... Anyway. Mike Scott, if people don't do a parlay with Nuggets alternative line at -1.5 and Man City to win it all at -1,000 for -130 odds, I don't know what to tell them. Bet the mortgage payment.
I'll have to look at this.
Bet your mother's mortgage payment. Right?
Do you trust the Nuggets at home to finish off the Timberwolves after what happened last night? I'm a little hesitant. Yeah, right.
That was a hell of a blowout, and it can take a little piece of your soul. So, no.
And the Timberwolves are a team that has already won twice on the Nuggets home court and beat them back-to-back games before. Like I don't know that I am. I don't know that I'm as trusting of that. That's why I think there's some value in the Timberwolves to win the NBA title at like 7. Or what is it, 8.5 to 1 or whatever it is.
Zabruka Spartan, how would you respond as a fan if a player came out and said something that was seen as bigoted, a la Harrison Butker, trying to keep the question generic so you guys don't have to wade into the specifics.
So if like a MSU player, or how do you respond as a fan? As a fan of somebody. Look, I think it is 100% fine to understand that many of the athletes you root for are flawed or have different opinions than you, and your own opinion may be flawed in certain things. So if somebody comes out and says something that you really disagree with or you think makes them hard to root for, that's fine too. I mean, that's part of the consequence of free speech. If you are an athlete and you come out and you say something that really annoys your fan base, you may lose some fans. And that's something you have to weigh in on, or you have to weigh when you're deciding that.
But it's something you have to separate, right, from the sports. Like, I love John Daly. He's one of my heroes. He's a legend. But politics, I would never talk politics with John. I don't think he's right with politics. But see, I can separate the two, and I don't think many people wanted Butker canceled. It's just that's his opinion. That's the way he lives his life. His wife seems okay with those kind of things, so it doesn't bother me.
And if you can't, don't root for him. And I think that's right. Okay. That's okay too. Yep.
Yeah. Zabruka Spartan, ever gotten high and watched the Eurovision Song Contest? 10 out of 10 would do it again. I'm in. What is it?
Well, first of all, there's a funny movie with was it Will Ferrell and who is it? Hold on, give me some Hoff real quick.
John C. Reilly.
Hold on.
So let's go there.
Come on.
Let's make our escape. Come on, let's go there.
Wait, hold on.
Let's ask, can we stay?
Oh, it's Rachel McAdams and Will Ferrell. It's so good. It's so funny. Rachel McAdams is fantastic in it, and very good. Eurovision Song Contest, the movie. So I don't know if you're talking about the actual one or if you're talking about the movie. The movie is worth it. It's on Netflix now. If you get a chance, you would like it. It is a good, pure options watch. It's really well done.
It's really tough to take a recommendation.
I know.
From you.
I know. I apologize.
I'm sorry, but I really.
Rotten Tomatoes gives it 64%, so it's right in that. It's not like.
What's the fan score?
Oh, hold on. Let me click on that.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Can you take me higher?
So the audience score is 77% higher. So yeah, you know me. There's certain movies that I love that I'm not sure you'd like. Like when I gave a recommendation for 5 Year Engagement, you liked it. So there's certain movies.
It wasn't the worst thing you've ever
recommended.
Sure.
There you
but it wasn't
go.
like I was like, I can't wait to watch this again. I was like, man, Couch actually had made a recommendation and I didn't hate it with a passion. It's impressive.
Solid.
Jimbo Jones, it seems like Izzo chose to double down on last year's front court now that the roster is complete. If he doesn't make any significant run in the tournament next year, would that be the beginning of the end for him at MSU?
I mean, you could say that, but what if he's really good the next year? I mean, I just putting these sort of definitive narratives on things is hard to do. I mean, there's some disappointment certainly that would go along with it, and some people. I think the big thing is if the center position is what holds them back, then he's going to lose the faith of a lot of MSU fans who could see something that he apparently couldn't see or was willing to risk that shouldn't have. And I think that's really the question.
Ken Chu, now that Izzo got a big in the portal, will the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East end and world hunger be solved?
I'm not talking about Michigan.
Yeah, that's next. So we don't want to tack those two things. We can't.
You're gonna die trying solving that hunger problem.
Yeah, I don't know how long the show would ask if it was if we had Israeli-Palestinian questions and Ukraine-Russia questions just coming in flying. We would do our best though. We would absolutely do our best.
Are you with Palestine, Graham? Neurotic Pants. The Chiefs kicker shared his very conservative and controversial opinions at a graduation ceremony. I actually don't have any problem with that, but I do notice those who complain about politicized athletes aren't jumping in here. What do you think, Graham? Should high-profile athletes avoid political activism? Should responses to said activism be consistent?
People should. I mean, like, I hate the stick to sports stuff, and I understand that people follow me, or follow an MSU beat writer or whatever for that. So you do have to be cognizant of who your audience is and why they follow you. But people should, if they have strong thoughts, and people are free to say what they want to say. And I don't have a problem with any of that. People, again, there are consequences to free speech, and you have to be aware of them. And like I lost a lot of followers during the pandemic and a little after when, I wrote a lot more about politics and was weighed in there, and there might be a time where I'm called on to do that again or decide to. And
was that politics or just you repeating all of your sports takes over and over?
It could be either one. I don't really know which one. But so I pretend it's the politics. Yeah. So I lost some followers, and that's okay. I know going in that's the price of. But if I feel strongly about something I want to say, that's either also my job or something I just choose to do.
Lansing promise. Neurotic Pants, Graham and Jason, would you make entertainment wagers overseas? You can place bets on how a show series will end, who will win American Idol, etc. Would you guys do that?
I would want inside information too much. I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, but betting overseas, I don't know. I haven't done it in a long time, so I don't know how big of a pain in the ass it still is or isn't. American Idol, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Yeah? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
No.
I do bet. I do bet on the. I will bet on politics sometimes on the offshore books.
Oh, sure. There's money to there's good money to be made on that kind of stuff. Yep. Neurotic Pants, Graham, we've heard one of Jason's stories, but when was the last time you went to the Gentleman's Club? Or do you just prefer donuts? Maybe Graham can say, I'm a donut sexual, and Jason can turn it into a clip.
I'm a donut sexual. There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Clipping that.
Last Gentleman's Club I've been to.
Did you have to take your hat off? I used to love that part. Sir, no hats.
I mean, I'm not anti-Gentleman's Club. I'm not acting like I'm just.
I can't throw a $1 bill in her crotch.
Right,
if you have a hat sideways. No, get the fuck out of here.
I've been to one on a work road trip like 10 years ago at one point.
What?
Yeah.
Work for LSJ?
Well, I mean, I wasn't on the clock.
You in Rex Road?
I wasn't on the clock.
Right.
I think Rex Road was there.
But you were on the road.
Yeah.
Covering an event.
I think it was in Wisconsin.
Uh-huh. You went to a Wisconsin strip club?
2012, maybe.
With who?
Ebling was there.
Ebling went to the strip club.
Ebling was at the strip club. A lot of people were there that night covering MSU.
Did he get a lap dance?
I wasn't paying attention to what other people were doing.
Yeah,
I can't say that.
Dude, we need to have Ebling on now. He's in some boxing match that was in the 90s. Went to a strip club.
Well, I mean, lots of it.
Shit.
I mean, he wasn't alone at the strip club. It wasn't like just
I'm sorry that I'm shocked by Jack Ebling in a strip club.
Yeah. Probably wasn't supposed to share that.
Fascinating. What does he care? Graham Carpenter, we think fire him. Would you golf over at Hilton Head, South Carolina? Going there for a full summer, and we'll be there starting tomorrow.
Going there for a full summer. Nice, yeah. Although it is hot in South Carolina. But yeah, I would 100% golf. It's got to be expensive and hard to get a tee time, but if I could get in, I would 100% golf there. Yeah, sure.
Below show, favorite and least favorite parts of summertime.
The heat is the least favorite. The heat.
The end.
The end of summer is your least favorite.
When we have to put all of our stuff together. I understand that, but it is just a bummer because, Treese and I were outside a lot when the weather's nice on the deck and everything. It's just a great summer have a TV outside with the Tigers on.
That's incredible. Yeah.
I just love it. So, yes, there is the silver lining in the end of summer fall thing where it's like, okay, football's here, but
yeah, I think it is, and my schedule is very different too. I get my weekends back and we have people over or we go to places, backyard hangouts. It's not just the ability to be in a backyard and just enjoying it with people and is great. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
I could do without the people part. Hans Jurgens, all my gambling accounts are at 0, but my 401k is a couple $100,000. Is there a lesson here? Are you peddling is false hope, i.e. gambling?
We're not suggesting you empty your 401k to gamble.
Well, Mr. Haller, that was a great question. Since this is his burner, right?
Yeah, no. The lesson here is you're doing it right, and just use discretionary funds for gambling.
Pop some of that 401k and add a couple zeros. Come on now. Roll it up. Hans, would you be willing to work as a death row executioner for free donuts? Is it in poor taste for a guillotine executioner to shake the severed head around by the hair to gin up the crowd?
Hans, you would have done well like 200 years ago in life, or however long it was they're doing executions that way.
I could do it. I think I could. It depends on what they did. Like definitely like child predator guys, I could kill them in an instant.
If they were, if they were disgusting enough and had done something horrible,
like the firing squad where you all shoot, but you have blanks in. I could do that every Friday.
So what? You have blanks in, so you don't actually hit them?
One person has a real bullet.
Oh, I see.
And then the others have the.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so you don't know who killed. No one really knows. You all shot.
Oh, that's interesting. What if the guy who has the real bullet misses?
Then you go again?
Yeah, good point.
That's a great question. Hans Jurgen, how many yards rushing per game should we expect from Aiden Childs this year?
Well, keep in mind, college has this dumb rule where sacks and other things count as rushing yards. So true rushing yards, it's hard to know. But I would guess, he has never been a full-time starter, and he's going to be a pocket guy first. But I would guess he's going to take out of the pocket 4 times a game and average, 7-8 yards on those runs, sometimes more. So I would say 30 yards a game on average. And but sometimes he may take 2-3 sacks, and it may look like 12. That would be my guess.
Hans Jurgen, I saw Graham walking in Manhattan once, and he saw through people just like everyone else. No question here, just an accusation.
It's possible.
Hans, if a bunch of kids on a school bus flipped you off, would you take revenge by trying to get those kids in trouble by calling that school? Would you vote against the next public school levy? You seem like a get-off-my-lawn guy.
No, it depends on the district. That would be the big thing.
But you have to go. I mean, you remember going on a field trip, right? And the car's behind you.
You flip them off.
Or, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd go, stupid-ass kids.
Yeah,
I'm glad I just reminisce about how great it is to not have one of those fucking things.
Bloomfield Hills, something like that, Okemos. I might have a
white
issue.
school is what Graham's saying. Any full white school.
Yeah, I might have an issue with
He's going to call regardless of the finger.
Yeah.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy, what's a good college salary cap for both football and basketball?
Well, you can't create one in NIL. There is no cap unless it's something that's agreed upon. So what would make sense? I mean, if it winds up being 20, 30 million for but if you're talking about what makes sense for a school to have available, it's about 10 to 15 million for football right now to compete at the highest level or at a pretty high level. And I would say 3 to 7 million to do it in basketball. And so it's a lot. So if you really, between the two of them, to really play both football and basketball men's basketball at the highest level, you've probably got to have about 20 million available.
Damn. Jerk Guy, how much do you
annually
think the biggest dump you ever took weighed? Oof.
I would not have left this one.
I remember after the car accident, I had nothing but Vicodin and was just drinking like a case of Miller Lite every 3 days. And, of course, you're not moving around, so you're just sitting down. It had to be – I shit out a football. It was so disgusting. It had to have been a half pound.
I would not have left this. I'm so grossed out by poop. Like the other day –
Same. I'm with you.
Somebody came by and they put like their baggie of dog poop in our trash bin that was out on the curb.
Ooh, what a move.
But it had been on the curb earlier that day for the trash, to get picked up. Yeah. And I hadn't brought it in yet. So now the next week's trash starts with fresh poop in the bottom. I was pissed off. Like, that is no, that's not okay. And to me, like, if you're a fellow dog person, it's your responsibility to come and get that. Like,
but they threw it in your trash, though.
I don't care. I don't want fresh poop in my bin.
But it's a trash can.
I don't care. I want it to be as clean as it can be. I don't want it to then get squashed by trash and create that aura. I don't want that smell.
Do you have a Ring camera? Could you see the culprit?
Oh, that's a good point. We probably could go back.
If you go back and look at the video and you see the call, are you going to say something if you see who it is?
Well, just go poop in their yard, in their own bin.
I don't think I would be that pissed. Jerk Guy, what's your most feminine trait other than the musicals and romantic comedy thing?
Yeah, I don't think those are that.
Like, how the ladies, they have a lot of creams and stuff now and the facial stuff. I'm really into that kind of stuff, like pampering myself now with those body scrubs that have like little things in it now. I'm into that stuff now. I like to smell good when I get out of the shower.
Is like using a loofah in the shower or something?
I do not do that.
Let's
not go crazy.
I do that.
I still am I'm a bar soap guy. I have been forever.
Yeah.
The loofah thing is weird.
It's not weird.
It is weird.
No.
It is weird. It goes places you don't and then you just hang it back up as if like it just magically cleans itself.
Yeah.
You just had it up your ass.
Well.
All right. And finally, I love the show. Jerk Guy, what's Jason's most valuable sports card now and where does he keep it? And I'm sure you'd give me $1.50 for it, Jerk Guy, because that's your bit. It's great. I love it. I have a Bird Magic rookie card. Graded, and then I have the 1985 Michael Jordan Prism sticker, which is probably my best card. I don't know what it's worth currently, but yeah, and I keep them in a safe away from guys like the Jerk Guy.
Yeah, how much do you think it's really worth?
Oh, maybe 1,000.
Okay,
around there.
Okay, all your cards together, how much are they worth?
Not enough to come and break in my house.
Okay.
Is that what you're getting at?
Just putting that out there for people. Yeah. I'll make the trip to Ovid. We appreciate all of you and producing our show for us. We appreciate Groovy Donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com. Place your order today. Stop by either location 1 a.m. Try 7 a.m. Don't go by at 1. 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. Also, the Groovy Donuts, the Lugnuts game Friday night at the Capitol all day Saturday. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. Great place to go this weekend. Check out their patio. We appreciate Pure Options. And if you're listening to this show, you're probably familiar and several MGs in. We will be back next week. We'll figure out the show schedule. Have a great weekend. Good show, man.